Okay, so here's our opportunity to practice with systems of linear inequalities. So we do need to go ahead and we're going to use that same method that we've been using to graph. So we're going to start by graphing this first one. And so these are already in slope-intercept form. So this first one, the y-intercept is going to be 0, 7, because here's our b value, and our slope is going to be 1 over 3. So we're going to start by putting that point at 0, 7, and then we're going to go ahead and do our slope of 1/3. Now I'm going to have to go the other direction as well to go ahead and make that line. Okay. Now on this one I am going to have a dashed line, okay, because there's no equal to, and I want to shade below that line. Okay. Now on the next one I'm going to do it in a different color just like before. I have my slope my y-intercept as 4, and then my slope is going to be negative 1 over 1. Okay, so I'm going to have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's my first point, and then I'm going to be going negative 1 and over 1, just as far as I can go with that. And I'm going to continue it going in the other direction as well. Okay. Now this one does have an equal symbol, so I do get a solid line here, whereas the other one was dashed, and it's greater than, so I'm going to color in this area. Okay, so my color where it is overlapping is this area right here, okay, between these two. And so you can kind of see where that purple and that blue mix. Okay. All right, we're going to do an example with number 3 where we are going to have to rearrange a little bit on this first equation. So I have x minus 4y is less than or equal to 24. I do have to subtract that x, and then I do have to divide by negative 4. So I end up with y is less than or equal to 1/4 x minus 6. So that means I have a point at 0, negative 6. That's our y-intercept. And 1/4 is going to be our slope. So I'm going to do, and I did not catch myself, but notice right here, I did divide by negative, so I do need to flip that sign to a greater than. That would have messed me up in the future if I had not caught that. So I'm going to do negative 6, and then I'm going to have 1/4 as my slope. And then I can actually go 1 in the other direction as well. And it is equal to, so I can do a solid line here. And it's greater than, so I do need to shade above that. Okay. All right, now I'm going to do this other one, which is up here. I'm going to use blue on this one, so it's going to be 0, 1. That's my y-intercept. And my slope is going to be 2 over 1. So 0, 1 is my starting point, and then I'm going to go up 2 over 1 for my slope, and then I'm going to continue that slope in the opposite direction as well until I get a good line going. And then it is equal to, so it does have a solid line, so I'm going to continue that. And then everything less than means I'm going to shade below that, so I do need to shade this area down here. Okay, so you'll notice that here's that overlapping area. It's between these two lines right here. Okay, and so this is what you're going to continue doing as you work. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of shade that in just a little bit darker so that you can see a definite here with this area. And this extends past the graph. Okay, it's not just on the graph, it's going to continue everywhere that these lines extend to. Okay, this line keeps going out here, up here, all of this would continue to be shaded. And the same thing for this one. Okay, that shading is going to continue outside of the graph. Okay, the graph is not just a small area, it's a continual thing that's infinite. All right, last question that we're going to do together, and then I'm going to let you practice, is this application question. So Sarah's pet store never has more than a combined total of 16 cats and dogs. So we're talking about number of cats and we were talking about number of dogs. So I'm going to call that C and D, okay? And I'm just going to go ahead and label C as my x-axis, so number of cats, and I'm going to do number of dogs up here, okay? She also never has more than 9 cats. So write a system of inequalities and graph to show the possible number of cats and dogs in her store. Okay, well, first off, if we add them together, the cats and dogs can never be more than a combined total of 16. So it could be 16, so it could be equal to, but it has to be less than. So cats and dogs has to be less than or equal to 16. So that's one line, okay? And then the second inequality is that the number of cats has to be less than 9, okay? Never has more than 9 cats. So the cats has to be less than 9. It could be equal to 9, okay? She could have 9, but it can't be more than that. And so these are the two things that we're going to do. So first off, before I graph this first one, I do need to go ahead and get D by itself, the number of dogs. So D is less than or equal to negative C plus 16. And when I graph this, it's going to be 0, 16 as my y-intercept, and my slope is going to be negative 1 over 1. So if I number these up just like I'm supposed to, I'm going to end up with a point that's just outside of the graph, but that's okay. And then I'm just going to continue making my points all along the way down because I'm making a negative slope. And I'm going to continue this, and it is equal to, and so since it is equal to, we are going to go ahead and do a solid line here, okay? All right, and then the second thing that we're going to do is graph this blue line, okay? And so the blue line is that the cats have to be less than or equal to 9. Before I do that, let's go ahead and shade this. It's less than, and so that means I'm going to have to shade everything below this. So I'm just going to put some lines in there. Okay? All right, now back to this one. This is another odd one because C is less than or equal to 9. And so what we end up with is that we have a line that's not it's not in slope-intercept form, okay? But it means that that C value is always going to be less than or equal to 9. And so what we can do is it creates a vertical line here at 9. And so I'm just going to run my vertical line. It is equal to, so I'm going to go ahead and use a solid line. And less than that shaded in goes less than that. And so the area for our solution is going to be this area right here. And I'm going to darken that in just a little bit so that you can see it very well. And so any questions that they could ask me about this area, okay, about the solution, would come from this area right here, okay? Anything outside of that is not part of the solution, so it's just going to be what's inside of this, or if it ends up on one of these lines because they are solid lines, okay? So there are 10 total questions in this practice sheet. We've already done 3 of them, so you just need to finish numbers 1, 4, 5, and 6, and on the back you can do 8, 9, and 10, okay? If you have any questions, please make sure that you ask me. If we need to, we can meet over Zoom or you can email me, but we'll get this figured out if you have any questions. Go ahead and finish those 7 problems, and then if you need me to check them, I'll be glad to. You can go ahead and just send them to me and I'll check them for you. And then don't forget that we will have more practice on this tomorrow. So keep that in mind as you're working.